little bit depressing, actually. I'm on Old Burnt Store Road, which back when I lived in this area was just called Burnt Store Road. A big, shiny 4-lane highway that we were just on didn't exist. And most of these houses here didn't exist back when I lived here. I lived in Southwest Florida between 1975 and 1992. So it's been quite a while since I left. But I guess progress goes on, at least most of the time. This was all palmetto scrub back in the day. And there were a few houses, but they were few and far between. And now it's housing developments and hotels and marinas and fancy houses. I kind of miss the days of when it was all palmetto scrub, and my ex-wife, when we were dating, and after that too, used to come exploring out here. We used to go walking on the trails out here, and I'm sure all those trails are long gone. But we'd go hiking out in the hammocks and see snakes and gators and animals of all kinds. Doesn't look like a lot of wildlife out here anymore. Wah, wah. At that time, this was a 2-lane road, and not a very particularly well kept one either. So the sprawl has continued to sprawl. Oh well. Welcome to Cape Coral. So this is the city I used to live in, and over here on the right we actually do have some scrubland left. For some reason they haven't developed it. It could just be very poor land to develop. It's also very possible that the area to the right here is a lot of it is mangrove swamp, and that is home to a lot of endangered species, and also the mangrove swamp itself is also endangered. So that's probably why they haven't developed this out here. None of these roads existed back when I lived here. This is all new since 1992. There was a lot of roads out of here because the developers of Cape Coral built an extensive grid of roads, and they're probably all still there and now have houses on them. But back when I lived here, they were all empty. All of them. You would occasionally get a stop sign, but that was the place where teenagers went out to party and people went out to drag race, and they had paved roads, and these were all built in the 60s and early 70s, and by the time 92 was, they were just starting to develop that area. A lot of these roads were just covered in grass again. Nature had reclaimed a lot of these roads. I'm thinking now that most of these roads are probably fully developed now. And Cape Coral has a lot of problems with water as it is. I can only imagine that the water problems here have got to be insane. there's nothing out here that I even recognize anymore. And most of it is not very interesting, so I am not going to film a lot down here. I guess it just goes to show you, you can't go home again. Some of you may wonder why I came out to Sanibel Island. It is, after all, a dead end, and I don't normally do dead ends. However, I do think that it's a notable stop on this route, and one that is, in my opinion, well worth making that diversion for. Sanibel's known for its natural beauty, its beaches, and its shelling. But for me, there's also a very strong note of nostalgia. I spent most of my teenage years living out here, and it's really one of the few places in Florida that I have any affection for whatsoever. 3 years ago, the islands were completely devastated by Hurricane Ian, and as you can see, there's still a lot of rebuilding going on. A lot of the big hotels and condos along the beachside are just gone, or if not gone, have been torn down. And there's a lot of rebuilding going on. You'll notice that a lot of the vehicles on the road out here, especially during the day, are construction vehicles and contractors. It's a poignant reminder of how everything can change in just a few days when you get a big storm like Ian coming through. Stopping out here also gave me a planned break, a couple of days just to unwind and chill and get over sliding my way through Mississippi. I also got to see some old friends who I hadn't seen for a long time. I don't get over to this part of Florida very much anymore. And of course, I also made some videos, some of which you will be seeing in the next few weeks. As we prepare to leave Sanibel, here we are at the Lighthouse Park. This is kind of the easternmost part of the island. And there's the lighthouse. It's a historic lighthouse, been there since the early 20th century. When Hurricane Ian came through, it ripped one of the legs off of the lighthouse, but didn't collapse it, thankfully. The lighthouse keeper house next to it was completely destroyed. So that was not good. But this lighthouse has kind of become the symbol of Sanibel. And that's right, it's Sanibel. That, according to the pioneer families who I knew. If people say Sanibel, you know they're tourists. See if we can get a slightly closer look. I need to skedaddle because I didn't pay for parking here. Like a lot of other lights, I believe this one has been decommissioned also, but it still is lit. There you go. That is Sanibel for you. For good or bad. It's nice to see that the island has come back from Hurricane Ian. Where tomorrow, or later in this video probably, for you, gonna drive through Fort Myers Beach, which was hit much harder. And something like 70–80% of the houses out there were destroyed. So this is why I don't live on a barrier island. All right, let's get going.